will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live. Oh.
I'm talking about shout it going crazy. People going crazy in these motherfuckers. Run that shit back, man.
But it means nothing. Nothing. Got a woman on the bed. Man made the car. Carry the heavy load. Man made the electrolyte to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat for the water like the 7-no-meter. Man thinks about a little bit of baby girl and a baby boy. Man make them happy because man make them strong. But after man make everything we can, do you know that man makes money? To buy from other men. This is a man's world.
Greetings, Black family. Greetings. We're back again for a special edition of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. I'm your host, Che and Kruma. We're joined with our other host for the evening, Shabaka'S and Cory. Since Lady Che is in the hospital, please keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely.
And on this season 10 special edition of Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced, in conjunction with the Frontline Black News, we will be discussing several topics. The first topic is Trump, the dump, as in human shit, and we want to make that perfectly clear. Went off checking Zelensky of Ukraine for disrespecting America.
Right.
Great news. Then we got Trump's administration scrambles to rehire USDA bird flu experts after terminating them.
The stupid motherfucker.
Then we got Cory Doctorow on Elon Musk, the musty man. Man, it's chaotic blitz at DOGE or DOGE, DOGE. Then we got, in addition, living in a tech dystopia. Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
Then we got the U.S. sanctions Rwandan government officials for their role in escalating crisis in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Neocolonialism.
Then we got Burkina Faso says they don't need U.S. aid.
That's great news.
And if we have time, historic Black church now owns the Proud Boys' name.
Oh, that's funny as hell right there. Now, what is the Black church going to do for the Black community owning that name? That is the question.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So
or is it going to be the typical ass scratching, yassa bossing, buck dancing shit?
Later for all of that. But more than likely it's going to be that.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the topics, Shabaka. I don't know if you shared the link out, but
okay. All righty. And I'm not. Okay, so the first one we got is the dumpster going off on Zelensky, Pesinski, or whatever. Both these motherfuckers are both sides of the same coins because they're all cave beasts to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, you see them as one big Neanderthal.
Yeah. They're cave beast. You know what I'm saying? You know, tell them come out here, sit out here with me in this goddamn desert, man, you know, this summer, man, and I'll prove the point. Hell, I'll do a live feed on the motherfucker. Since Chumley's crew won't let me, motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? You know, but it is what it is. Now, I got a question that I'm putting out there to our audience. What are we going to do for ourselves? How can we control our own means of production and distribution? How can we have our own medical care? How can we have our own industries? You see what I'm saying? Now, this is really what Stinky Bird and the dumpster are in fear of, okay? Yeah. Is because they're trying to bring back this DEI shit. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, and this is an opinion, and everybody's welcome to disagree with me, but I think that was the best goddamn thing that they could ever do for us, man, is to get rid of that shit, because guess what, people? We don't have to hire them.
Nope.
You say?
We can hire our own.
No, that's what I'm saying. You know, we could have mentorship programs for our own. You see what I mean? dumpster goes off on Zelensky for disrespecting America. Well, I piss on
today.
America.
If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning.
Shabaka'S Blacc
Let's get to today's news, and oh my goodness, do I have something very interesting and good for you today. Why do I say this is good? Because, well, number one, first and foremost, it feels good to actually have a president, because what we had over the last 4 years of Joe Biden definitely was not that. But we definitely have a president in Donald Trump, because recently today, I'm talking about as early as about maybe 30 minutes ago, Donald Trump and JD Vance cursed out Zelensky for disrespecting them in the White House. They laid down the law and they let Zelensky know, look here, you're not coming into our house, the White House, and dictating anything over here and telling us what we will and what we won't do and what we will feel and what we won't feel. And you'll understand what I mean by that in just a moment. Now, why does Zelensky feel so bold in disrespecting our president in the White House? Well, because he's accustomed to disrespecting our president, formerly Joe Biden. He's accustomed to coming over here and thinking that he is just entitled to billions upon billions of dollars and all of the support that we have to offer. He believes he's entitled to this. And even the Washington Post wrote about this way back in 2022. We're not going to dive too deep into the article right now for the sake of time, but just look at the headline here. Zelensky's bold, consistent message. I'm going to read that again. Zelensky's bold, consistent message to Biden. Do better. It's the Ukrainian leader's turn to leverage a U.S. president. So once again, even the Washington Post highlighted this back in 2022. Zelensky feeling entitled and disrespecting the White House and disrespecting our government, thinking that we just owe him something. This is something in a way, in a sense of entitlement that he has had for a long time. And I want to prove to you his arrogance in just a moment. But first, let's get into the actual clip of Donald Trump and JD Vance laying down the law. Let's get into that right now.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office to try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to
count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Before Zelensky even answers that, look at his arrogance while in the White House in the midst of President Trump and JD Vance.
I wouldn't give a fuck if he got up and pulled his dick out
of what you're saying right now. The arrogance. Imagine me coming into your home, disrespecting you in this fashion, talking to you in this type of tone, and having such a pompous arrogance with myself. You would throw me out of your home with the quickness, if not worse. But let's keep watching this because it gets better. At a certain point here, Donald Trump's just going to say enough is enough.
A lot of questions. Let's start.
I thought the White House was
public property. During the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean.
Yeah, for citizens,
don't feel
not
you will feel it
in the future.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless.
You don't know. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and it happens to be right about
from the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
That's
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
you said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the
Motherfucker, did you
opposition
ever
in
say thank
October,
you to us for
offer
building
some
your
words of
goddamn
appreciation
country
for
for
the United
free?
States of America and the president who's trying to save your country?
But they issued an informal apology.
The level of disrespect is through the roof. It's through the roof. Because really think about this for a moment. And we're going to get more into the disrespect. But think about this for a moment. This is an issue that's happening in Europe. All these European countries, all those European leaders, why don't you guys handle that over there? You take care of your own stuff and clean your own backyard and handle that over there. Why does it take the president of the United States, Donald Trump, to put this to bed? And the fact that it takes us here to put your situation to bed, what you need to do is stop talking and be quiet.
Right.
Because like Trump said, you don't have the cards.
Right.
Nothing is in your favor right now. We're in control of the deck. So you lost your tone. Oh, I'm pretty sure by the time Goofy Jasmine Crockett gets to this shit, he told him, no, that's not how that works. When you're the one that's coming to us for help, when seemingly no European nation can do anything about cleaning up their backyard, so it's being left up to President Trump to deal with this with Putin because you guys can't handle it, you should probably shut up before I give your entire country away to Putin. You should probably be quiet. That's just the reality of it. But his arrogance, you see he's even leaning in to the disrespect as he's going back and forth with Trump. And this is something that's just not going to work out in his favor if he wants to continue to go down this road. But once again, this is just who he is, a highly disrespectful person. And I want to close this video out with this. During a meeting with Congress back in 2022, Zelensky's arrogance was so through the roof that this man had the audacity to quote Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech in order to get $800 million more out of us. Imagine that. Bastardizing this "I Have a Dream" speech, the iconic speech of Martin Luther King, "I Have a Dream," and bastardizing it to justify, force, shame, and bully Biden into giving up another $800 million, which, if I'm not mistaken, they did. Anyways, let's get into this clip right now.
Aircraft that can help Ukraine, help Europe. And you know that they exist and you have them, but they are on Earth, not in Ukraine, in the Ukrainian sky. They do not defend our people. I have a dream. These words are known to each of you. Today I can say, I have a need. I need to protect our sky. I need your decision, your help, which means exactly the same you feel when you hear the words, I have a dream.
Unbelievable.
Motherfucker, don't you ever quote that,
and
white
what
boy.
happened after that?
Right.
Biden gave him an extra $800 million after bastardizing the speech of one of the greatest American heroes of all time, Martin Luther King Jr. You have to be an arrogant son of a gun to come to America and bastardize a speech like that. That means so much to so many people here in this country. And he has mistakenly carried that arrogance over into this administration.
He's definitely not going to do that.
And that is the wrong move.
I know it.
Because Donald Trump is no Joe Biden. And if he doesn't play his cards right, I'll leave it alone and we'll just end this video here. With all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also, don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help with social media censorship and shadow ban.
Hey, MD.
Oh.
Oh, what? He refused. Is this the same one? Oh, he did a. Oh, there's more, Shabaka.
What's that?
The plot thickens. Zelensky refuses to apologize directly to Trump in Fox News interview.
Well, all I see up here is cave beasts.
Of course, Shabaka.
You know me.
Yeah. We got the MD in the building. MD, do you want to come up and join?
MD. Hey, MD, how you be? How you be? How you be?
The link is in the chat.
All right.
Slava, Ukraine. Oh my God. Stupid. Long.
Well, I see a cave beast right here who are baking the sun. Like the orange dude who are baking the sun. JD man. His ass is baking the sun. Fuck all these motherfuckers.
Yeah. A state that Kamala Harris absolutely has to win.
Man, don't mention that stinking bitch, man. Please don't.
You want to show up at this manufacturing plant with Josh Shapiro, signing autographs, essentially taking pictures, because that's what he's doing right here. He's autographing, all of the or a handful of bombs, at the manufacturing plant. Really? That's what we're doing. I'd feel a way too. I'd feel like you're campaigning
warheads
on behalf of Harris too. With only a few weeks away, a couple of days away from the election. When you think about the relationship that Trump and Zelensky had, that Biden and Zelensky had, with only 3 weeks away from the election.
Yeah,
you didn't have to fly all the way out here to do this.
Yeah,
you didn't have to do that. You literally could have just sent Biden a text, and he would have sent you $1 billion more, just like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that position, and I can see that point of view, that you're campaigning for them, my man. That's what you're doing, or at least that's how it appears. That's how it comes off. You're campaigning for Harris because you didn't need to fly all the way out here for that. So now what I want to do is this. Let's get into this right here. I want to get into the Fox News interview in which Zelensky was asked whether or not he would apologize to Trump. And here's what he had to say. There's a few things that I want to touch on in this interview. We're obviously not going to go through the whole thing. It's about 20 plus minutes long. But let's start right here.
Special report, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr. President, thank you for the time today, especially on this day, to continue to do this interview. President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespected him and the vice president and all of America in the Oval Office.
Put that motherfucker in the Google car, have him going around.
And do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
You on that goddamn Google
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue. And good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support.
Oh, now you're grateful.
I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale invasion. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners. And even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest. And we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's for us very necessary to President Trump. And I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war, we are in this battle, a battle for freedom, for our lives.
I'm sorry, pettiness in me. Nobody wants us, man. You sound like nobody wants us to be over more than we. I'm sorry. Rewind it back just a little bit. Nobody wants us to be over more than we. Okay, sorry.
He's outside. Sorry.
President Trump, and I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war, we are in this battle, a battle for freedom, for our lives. So I'm just telling that I think that we have to be on the same side, and I hope that the president on our side together with us, and that is very important to stop Putin. And I heard from
Where's
President
the money,
Trump
Zelensky?
a lot of times that
spend it on hookers,
he will
Mac
stop the war,
285.
and I hope he will. And we need to pressure him with Europe, with all the partners. And I think this dialogue had to be a little bit earlier to understand where we are. You know, I don't remember exactly, but like President Reagan said, that peace is not just an absence of the war. Yes, we're speaking about just and lasting peace, about freedom, about justice, about human rights. And that's why I said that I think so, that ceasefire, and you know, Putin, he broken 25 times ceasefire during all these years, 10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect America.
Once again, check this. This went over a lot of people's heads. You know, it's not that he just didn't apologize, right? He just said no, right? He just no. A lot of people, when you read articles, all people are talking about, they're not catching that. It's not that he's talking in circles. You can listen to this and say he's talking in circles. No, he just directly said no. No. Listen again.
All these years, 10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect American people. And if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things that where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians. And I think that is the most important thing. Yes, we are partners. You know, we're very close partners. We have to be fair. We have to be very free.
Right. Very DNC of him. To not want to take any accountability for what occurred. Before we get into this next portion of the video that I want to play, you know, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that exchange before, where one leader of a nation is in the home, you can say, the White House, obviously, but like, you know, in the main building, for lack of better words, of the other leader of said nation, to which the leader who's visiting disrespects that sitting president in their home, in their office, the White House, if we're being specific. I've never seen that before. And the arrogance that he displayed and the pride that he displayed in the face of Trump,
I'm back, Shabaka.
And in the face of Vance, in the White House, is inexcusable. You would never think to conduct yourself like that in real life, in another man's home, because that's not going to go well for you. And when, as Trump said, the cards aren't in your favor, you're not holding any of the cards in the deck, to be exact.
The link is in the chat if anybody wants to
with that being true, you should probably humble yourself. Sit back, relax, stop talking so much, and just listen.
Right.
But he wouldn't do that.
He just kept running.
Because he's accustomed to getting what he wants from Biden. He's very accustomed to that. What he's not accustomed to is Trump. At least not this version of Trump. I'm not sure what version of Trump he was dealing with the first time around. But this version of Trump is not playing the kind of games that Biden is willing to play, and that Biden was playing. And the thought that you don't feel the need to apologize to Trump when he's literally the only reason that that situation, the war, can end. Because if they could do it in Europe on their own, they would. Why don't they? Because they can't. They literally can't end the war in Ukraine without Trump. So being it that you're in the presence of the only man who could stop the war from occurring and could actually negotiate a peace deal, you should probably hush. You should probably be quiet.
Right.
And since you are out of bounds, you should probably apologize.
Like, so ungrateful.
But he won't do it. He won't do it. And look at this part here. No accountability at all. He's going to get asked by Brett, do you feel that essentially the way you conducted yourself, do you feel that this makes the Ukrainian people look bad? Does it make the Ukraine look bad? And here's what he had to say.
Right. But do you think the public spat in the Oval Office in front of the media served Ukrainians well today?
I think this kind of spat is I mean this this is not good for both sides. And
it's not good for both sides. It's not good for you, bro. Right. It's not good for you. Your war, your situation. I really wish I used this picture as a thumbnail. But what you have going on in your country has nothing to do with us, you know? And we literally could just walk away right now and just be like, yeah, whatever, bro. You figure it out. Good luck. And you wouldn't be able to figure it out. So this doesn't look bad on both sides, right? It's not bad for all of us. It's bad for you. But carry on. Not taking any account.
Carry on.
And I'm very open, but I can't, change our Ukrainian attitude to Russian. And I don't want they kill us for us. This is very, very clear that Americans are the best of our friends, Europeans are the best of our friends, and Putin with Russian, their enemies. And it doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We just want to recognize the reality, the real situation.
Now, before we round things out, because I do want to get into what Caroline Levitt had to say too, because Trump, he watched this interview, and she's basically obviously going to speak on his behalf concerning what he thought about it. It just wouldn't be right if I didn't leave this video with a little DNC nonsense, right? So what's going to happen next is Brett's going to ask Zelensky what he thinks about this nonsense DNC comment that was left by a congressman on X. So let's get into this foolishness.
Democrats have had the opposite reaction to the Oval Office meeting. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut posted this. What just happened in the Oval Office was a planned ambush designed to help a brutal Russian dictator and hurt America's security. Trump has become Putin's lapdog, and America's global power is hemorrhaging as America sides with dictators over democracy. What an embarrassment.
Why are Democrats so dumb? I mean, they're just hell-bent on doubling down on a losing strategy. We're still doing the dictator talk. Not we're, excuse me. I voted for Trump. They're still doing the dictator talk. They're still doing this, he's in the back pocket of Putin. He's Putin's lapdog. So apparently, if you let the Democrats tell it, Trump is not just Putin's lapdog, but he's also Elon Musk's lapdog as well. So apparently Trump is everybody's lapdog. Trump is just in the pocket of everybody. He's in the pocket of Elon Musk. He's in the pocket of Putin. He's in the pocket of every. And what you really see is when you're hearing this is projection. It was Biden who was in everybody else's pockets because Biden wasn't even really running the country. He wasn't. We don't know who was running the country. And they're projecting that onto Trump. But once again, they're just doubling down on stupid. They're doubling down on exactly what lost him the election. Nobody wants to hear that.
Nope.
It's tired already.
Right.
He's a dictator. He's taking from the dictator's playbook. He runs with Putin. He loves Putin. Trump is the only person, the only president, the only national leader that I've ever seen who gets dragged for being diplomatic. So because he isn't hostile with Putin, that means he's in the pocket of Putin. How does that make any type of logical sense? It doesn't. It's completely stupid and ridiculous. That literally makes no sense. He's the only one who gets dinged for being diplomatic. But go figure. It's the DNC, right? So now what I want to do next is that I want to get into what Caroline Levitt had to say post-interview, right? Because she spoke right afterwards. Obviously, she's speaking essentially on behalf of Trump. So let's get into this here.
In Trump's favor, there's a new leader.
Sorry, let me rewind that back just a little bit. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and make sure you're following me on Telegram at TD Media Group. Link is in the description box below, and we'll be pinned in the comment section once the stream ends.
I think it remains to be seen. I defer to President Trump on what his next step is and what happens moving forward. But the president made his position quite clear today when he asked Zelensky and the Ukrainians to depart the White House. He feels as President Zelensky is not in the right mindset to negotiate peace. And I think, frankly, that was reinforced with his comments on Bret Baier refusing to apologize for disrespecting the president and the American people in the Oval Office. The president, Zelensky, was in the White House today and had a real chance to sign an economic agreement that would have been great for the American people to recoup our tax dollars and great for the Ukrainian people to rebuild their country. And unfortunately, he blew the deal up in his own face.
Was the White House expecting an apology? We saw that he didn't directly say that he opposed Trump one.
I don't think we were expecting anything, to be honest with you.
Just on the...
They weren't. She says that they weren't expecting an apology. But the fact that he didn't apologize, I don't believe Trump's going to let that go. I don't think that he's going to continue to bring it up over and over and over again. But as it pertains to just negotiating deals and peace, with Ukraine, Trump's definitely going to want to take more now, and I would too, because we're the ones with the leverage, not you. You want to come in my home and disrespect me and then not apologize?
The United States.
Okay, looks like peace is going to have to cost you more, and I think that that's how this is going to work out moving forward.
Flip side of this, obviously, there's another player. So is the White House going to ramp up negotiations with Putin, with Russia? Could the president potentially travel to meet President Putin sooner than later?
I'm not tracking anything in terms of next steps in the engagement with Putin and the Russians. The president has made it clear always that both sides need to talk equally to bring both sides to the table to negotiate a deal. And in a good deal, any good deal, whether it's in business or in politics, both sides usually walk away a little bit unhappy. Unfortunately for Zelensky, I think he refuses to recognize the practical reality of this war. It's been going on for years. His countrymen are dying. And the people who have been funding this effort, the American people, are sick and tired of footing this bill. So it's a much different situation for him than it was 3 years ago. And as President Trump said today, he doesn't have any cards. The cards are not in his favor. They're in President Trump's favor. There's a new leader in the White House who has much different priorities than the last administration. He wants peace. He wants the war to end. And it doesn't seem like Zelensky wants that quite yet.
Switching gears real fast, Caroline.
She just walked off. I'm going to start ending my live about that. Just walking off. But anyways, that does it. That does it for today's stream, man. Yeah, no apology. Zelensky doesn't care, right? Once again, because he's spoiled.
We lost Shabaka.
And he thinks that he's just going to keep getting what he wants because, let's be honest, he got what he wanted for almost 4 years straight when dealing with Biden. Got any and everything that he wanted, despite the fact that the American people were against it and didn't want it and didn't want our tax dollars going over there overseas. He got it all anyway. Weapons, bombs, whatever, and would consistently disrespect and say that the U.S. has to do more. You have to do more. You have to do more. You have to do more. Back, it looks like the money tree stopped growing, and there is no more that we can do. Help you negotiate a peace deal, something that you can't do on your own, and something that essentially and obviously the Europeans can't do on their own without Trump. So with that being the reality of what is, I think it's about time for Zelensky to humble himself, or he might find himself in a situation
Dumpster was,
where,
from what I understand, was talking about giving to give us $3,000.
Very rude awakening. So with all that being said, that does it for today's stream. I'm going to thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And once again, please, Telegram. Please follow me on Telegram. That is extremely important to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. Let me get to the support.
Like and subscribe to Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced like page. Definitely Frontline Black News.
Yes,
we need funding. You know what I'm saying? We're on a shoestring budget where all of us went fucking broke. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And what have you?
Shabaka. So what are your thoughts on Zelensky?
Zelensky?
Yeah.
Oh, he's taking all that money, man, that Biden was giving him, man, buying hookers, dope, luxury yachts, all that shit. And Dumpster probably audited his ass and saw that he was wasting the money. But with a 34-count convicted felon being the president of the United States, okay, we basically...
He got a slap on the wrist, too. He got 34 felonies and a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, so you got one hypocrite talking to another.
And
it's
now
all
he can
double
pardon
speak.
himself. And now he can pardon himself.
Hell, I'd much rather sit up here and watch Bullwinkle and Rocky.
He can pardon himself.
Wile E. Coyote and the Road Runner.
Yeah, he super genius.
Super genius. And ain't neither one of these punk ass motherfuckers got our interest at heart.
Yeah, well, the jury's still out on the dump. I still think he's petty enough he'll cut the check just to spite the Democrats.
Okay, well, that'd be good.
I think he's that petty. I think he'd be like, hey, I told you what you have to lose. I told you I built the country.
Yeah, he did tell us that. So I have to respect that. Because none of these goddamn Democrats ever said that, including old Sambo.
No, they tell us a nation. They say it's a nation built by Democrats. It's a nation built by immigrants.
A nation built by immigrants. Okay, another Larry Elder, another Leo Terrell.
No, that's what Biden was saying. Remember? He was saying the Hispanics outnumbered us, and we need to work with them, and they're gonna rule over us. And he was saying all kinds of ridiculous shit.
Yeah, and if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
That was the most disrespectful, and our people still went out.
Absolutely.
That motherfucker. How the hell you gonna dictate to us if we black or not? If we don't vote for you, the fuck?
Yeah, and then got Kamala Harris fixing greens in the bathtub.
Oh my God, cleaning greens in a bathtub.
Yeah, might as well should have cleaned them in the sewer.
Right, like she's not like us. That's not FBA. We do not. I repeat, we do not clean where we wash our body.
Right.
Shit. We do not clean food in any of those areas.
Yeah. But just like Gandhi is going to say that poverty is the worst form of violence.
And his country is in massive poverty. Even back then, massive poverty.
Yeah. And then it's up there in Azania getting bashed in the head for Indians.
Yeah.
But not for the people of Azania.
Yeah, not for the Kafirs.
Exactly. Which is a term that they use sparingly for our people, like they use the term nigger in regard to us here in the United States.
Mm-hmm. With the hard ER. And that ends in the IR.
So what's the difference?
There is no difference.
I mean, come on, man.
Language.
It's 6 in one, half dozen in the other. You see what I mean? So it's an insult to our goddamn intelligence to sit up here to be worrying about all these other motherfuckers that despise us.
Yeah, well, I'm glad the dump is checking this fool because he done overstepped his welcome and he done outgrew his bridges and he needs to get checked. So I'm glad the dump checked him and told him, hey, man, you ain't in no position to be negotiating a goddamn thing. You don't call no shots around here.
Yeah.
So, moving along, I know you're going to love this, Shabaka. I know you're going to.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Burkina Faso says they don't need USAID.
Okay. All righty. Okay, what's President Ibrahim Traore trying to do now?
Shout out to TD Media Group for the last clip. This from the African Diaspora Network. She gonna give us an update. I guess.
Oh, our girl Deetra, and she never responded to my email. Neither did Lisa Cabrera.
Oh man, Shabaka, just keep trying. They'll get through. They probably didn't check.
I'll try them 2 more times.
Okay. I thought Lisa did get back to you. Okay. All right. So the sister from Nigeria, I think is going. She's either from Nigeria or Xania. She's gonna give us an update.
Okay.
Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with...
My name is Nalini Pule, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our community. Now, today I want to talk about something that really struck a chord with me as an African, and it's about Burkina Faso and how they've shown the world what true independence looks like, and not just on paper, but in action. Now, recently, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs made an incredible statement, which is that Burkina Faso achieved 91% of humanitarian goals last year without the support of the
Yeah. Let me repeat that. Hey, Jay Milliton was cracking. Now, gentlemen, I ask you.
And you know what?
You see this fox right here on the left side? Why would I choose a 6 o'clock Barbie doll bimbo over there?
They're focusing on one of the most important things any country can focus on, which is protecting and supporting their own.
Okay.
Let's have a watch at this.
Already we have taken all necessary measures to ensure that everything we do on the ground, we continue to do, and so that President Trump's decision does not have an impact, because we know very well that USAID plays a very important role.
Oh yeah, Jay Milliton, I love to see the motherfuckers go after each other. That's great news.
It has not prevented the ministry from continuing to act for the benefit of internally displaced persons.
Yeah, Zelensky did look like a buster.
Reassurance given from the Prime Ministry, where the Minister in charge of humanitarian action defended her department's
Milliton said he got
more than
90%
rate of activity.
Watching this shit show
there are
in
reasons
Washington.
for satisfaction.
Specifically, it must be said that we are acting in favor of empowering the ministry, mainly consisting of poor and vulnerable people, women, people with disabilities, and the elderly. So, for 2024, it must be said that we have approximately 1.9 million people who have benefited from food assistance.
Hey, crew, greetings from the south side.
People and disaster victims. And we have around 80,000 women who have benefited from income-generating activities and credits to finance their income-generating activities among IDP women.
At the Ministry of Communication and Culture, a success rate of over 90% has been reported.
I just finished clearing out some
War
old-ass
communication
court
and its
papers
effectiveness
I
are
had.
a particular reason for satisfaction.
In the communication sector, we have worked to effectively implement the war communication strategy through an operational action plan.
Yes, you was. So why would I
This
take
has
a
led
6
to the
o'clock
implementation
bimbo
of major
over there?
actions, such as the production of audiovisual programs in national languages and the holding of training sessions for the benefit of the media.
I'll take a Black American
The production of content to raise public awareness about the general mobilization against terrorism and also on issues related to social cohesion and citizenship. So the media have supported us.
In the field of culture and tourism, Gilbert Ouedraogo proudly presented the successful organization of major events such as the IOC and the commitment to
Now, as an African, I have to say that this is exactly the kind of mindset we need across the continent, because Burkina Faso is proving that we really don't always need to rely on foreign aid.
Yeah, little lady there make an old man wish for younger days.
Of self-reliance and national sovereignty. I mean, this is what do for yourself looks like on a national level. This is
Mauritania, Nigeria.
This is essentially important, especially after the loss of USAID in South Africa.
Liberian girls are the finest.
The fact that Burkina Faso has
MJ made a song about
progress without relying on outside assistance shows that yes, we can do it ourselves. I mean, we've seen too many times where African countries become dependent on aid, while some of that aid is helpful.
Well, Liberia,
it can also create a cycle of reliance. And when we don't take full control of our
Yeah,
own
they were
growth
on
and our
puppet
own
strings, and
future,
they called the capital
we actually
Monrovia
remain
after a
vulnerable to
raping,
the whims of
slave
others.
trading
And I think that it's
pedophile by
time
the
for
name of
Africa to stand
James
up and to take
Monroe.
charge and to find our own
Yep,
solutions to our
MJ
own
did make
problems,
a song
because
about
the
them,
juice for self
and Liberia
mentality
Yeah, he
song about
isn't
did.
just
I
about
had it.
injecting help, it's about building
Liberian
infrastructure and
girl.
systems and
Yeah.
strength needed to
MJ
thrive
know how
independently.
beautiful they were.
And Burkina Faso's success in moving forward despite US aid is a clear message that we don't need to wait for others to fix things for us. This is about shifting the mindset from one of dependency to one of empowerment, because we have the resources and we have the people. Now,
That's
we just
right.
need to believe in ourselves and make the investment in our own
That's right. Resurrection
What
of the
Burkina
mental
Faso
There you
is
go,
dead.
not just about
Shabaka.
surviving.
I
I
told
believe
you it
it's
was
about
gonna
taking
dig
control of
this.
its destiny, and it's about saying we can solve our problems, we can protect our people, and we can build our future. And this is the point we need to get to as Africans. We need to be the ones leading the charge for our own development
Yep.
and creating
Yeah, y'all
opportunities
need
for
to
our
be the
people
ones, not us.
and
Y'all.
empowering our youth and finding sustainable solutions that are built on African strength and not external aid.
My buddy
I
got
believe
deported
we
back
do
to
have the
You
power
said he got
and we do
deported
have
back to Liberia,
of
huh?
our future.
Oh
I
my
still get in contact with him.
Hell
Do your things on
no,
this. Please,
stupid.
let's
Yeah,
continue the
boy,
conversation in the comment
crew.
section. And while you're at it, don't forget
You
to give this
stupid for
video
that.
8 thumbs up. That's it from me.
Now, Lide, I was trying to pronounce her name.
Oh, it's South African. I think it's Kosa.
Yeah.
It's either Kosa or Zulu.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the next topic.
Yeah, the Kosa is with the click songs, I believe, like Mary Makiba.
Yeah. Well, that's the language, but there's a people too.
Mm-hmm.
They got like 20 different ethnic groups in South Africa, Xania.
Mm-hmm. Sutu, Kosa, Zulu.
Mm-hmm. And there's some more, because they got the ones for they got the colors, which are the East Indians.
Man, fuck Gandhi and the motherfuckers, man.
They got the punk ass Boers.
Yeah, they stink like shit. That's what Stinky Bird is a fucking Boer.
Yep. And then they got the Asians. They got the hell are they called?
Oh, I know just who you talking about too, man. Yeah, because I got a picture of one of them in my mind already. Wait a minute.
They're like Tiger Woods.
Fanani?
Yeah, Fulani.
No, the Fulani. No. The Fulani man that is in West Africa.
Okay. So
okay, but there's a third crew they got down there in Azania, which you're right about.
It's the colors.
No, not the motherfuckers from India, man. Fuck Gandhi and them.
It's the Kosa, the Zulu, the
Sutu.
The Sutu.
You have the Sutu, Sotho. Okay. And then there was the other, I think they call them the Bushmen.
Oh, yeah, the Bushmen, yeah.
Yeah, I think they call them the Bushmen.
Yeah,
you know?
I think you're right, Shabaka. So like 4, 5, I said like 20 of them, but if you include the colors and the rest, yeah, it's about 20 of them.
Yeah.
All right. So, I forgot what the hell the damn next topic is. Oh, it's another African topic, but I'm looking for the video.
Let's see what they're talking about.
The U.S., or do you want to hear about the Musty Man and what he's up to first?
Let's deal with the shit first. What's up with the stinking motherfucker?
Okay, so Cory Doctorow on Elon Musk's chaotic blitz at DOGE and living in a tech dystopia in Luigi Mangione.
Oh, Luigi.
Yeah, so this is from Democracy Now!
Oh, Amy Goodwin.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now's Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
President Trump's holding his first cabinet meeting today. The White House has confirmed attendees will include Elon Musk, the world's richest man, who's expected to talk about DOGE, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, which is working to dismantle the entire U.S. government agencies and reduce government services. Earlier this week, 21 staffers at DOGE resigned in protest over Musk's actions. In a joint resignation letter, the engineers, data scientists, designers, and product managers wrote, quote, "We will not use our skills as technologists to compromise core government systems, jeopardize American sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. We will not lend our expertise to carry out or legitimize DOGE's actions," they wrote. The mass resignation comes amidst growing questions over the legality and effectiveness of DOGE's actions. Last week, DOGE claimed it had saved taxpayers $8 billion by canceling a single immigration-related contract. In fact, it wasn't $8 billion. The contract was $8 million. DOGE has since removed reference to this and 4 other large contracts it had highlighted on its so-called wall of receipts, removing all-time fines. While Musk is attending today's cabinet meeting, the White House claims it's claiming the actual head of DOGE is a little-known government employee named Amy Gleason, currently on vacation in Mexico. She reportedly was not aware the White House was planning to reveal her name. Meanwhile, Musk has given a new ultimatum to federal workers to justify their jobs or risk being fired. This despite pushback from several agency heads, as Elon Musk tries to reshape the federal government, much like he did after taking over Twitter. We're joined by a prominent critic of big tech, Cory Doctorow. He's a science fiction author, activist, and journalist. He worked for the Electronic Frontier Foundation. He has a new book out. It's called Picks and Shovels, a Martin Hench novel. Cory, it's great to have you with us at the table here in New York. Why don't you start off by responding to what Elon Musk is doing? He'll be apparently at this cabinet meeting, though he's not a cabinet member, approved by the Senate today, with President Trump. When did you first come to know Elon Musk? And tell us his story.
Oh, it's a funny story. So I'm a science fiction writer. I write, broadly speaking, cyberpunk novels. I've also been involved in digital rights for about 25 years. And one day, Elon Musk tweeted that he considered himself a utopian socialist in the model of E&M Banks. Now, I knew Banks a little. He was a friend and a friendly colleague of mine, a socialist science fiction writer from Scotland. And I said, you know, I knew Ian. He was an ardent trade unionist. You're under innumerable investigations by the NLRB. I don't think you can call yourself a utopian socialist in his model and his mode. And Musk replied,
remember, no curses.
Yeah, indeed. Musk replied, well, I've read his classic culture novel series, and there are no trade unions there. And I said, yes, but it takes place in a far future where you have giant spaceships with 1 trillion people on them traveling at 1,000 times the speed of light, controlled by artificial intelligences with many millions of times the capacity of human beings. And he said, well, I have very advanced factories to make my Teslas. And I said, there is an enormous difference between the world imagined by Ian Banks and the process of eking out very tiny gains in the efficiency of making electric vehicles. And he called me an enemy of humanity and blocked me. So that was my only experience with him. But, you know, like innumerable tech bros, he has mistaken cyberpunk for a suggestion rather than a warning. As someone who is in the business of writing a lot of warnings, I find this baffling and indeed very demoralizing.
And Cory, you also work for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is tries to defend freedom in technology, law, and policy. Well, how do you respond to Musk's claim that he believes in free speech absolutism?
Well, I'm very proud to have worked with the EFF for 23 years. We are the first organization to have filed a lawsuit that names Musk and DOGE by name. We're suing over the Privacy Act for the privacy of Americans and federal workers. This idea that Musk is the apotheosis of a kind of tech ethic, it's easy to fall into if all you pay attention to are tech bosses and the odd, broccoli hair brown shirt that they send into our federal agencies. But when you look at what tech workers have historically done, you find a cohort of people who, by and large, got interested in tech because they themselves experienced something profound and liberatory by connecting to networks that connected them to people all over the world, and to, disfavor political views like the idea that Black Lives Matter or women shouldn't be routinely sexually harassed by their bosses. All of these things that have come to the fore thanks to the ability of people to organize over tech. And they want to bring that liberatory power to other people. And often they've been able to hold the line against their bosses, even as their bosses opted for this very callow, rent-seeking approach to things, because tech workers were in such high demand. They weren't unionized, but they had a lot of power that arose from their scarcity. The fact that you could walk across the street from any big tech shop and get another job the same day that paid just as well, if not better, as the job you were in, meant that tech workers often told their bosses to go to hell when their bosses told them to screw up the things that they'd missed their mother's funerals to ship on time. And so even as we saw the dismantling of other forces that disciplined tech companies, the dismantling of antitrust law that allowed these companies to buy all their competitors, merge to monopoly and reduce the internet to 5 giant websites filled with screenshots of text from the other 4, the regulatory capture that sees grotesqueries like Keir Starmer firing their top tech trustbuster and replacing him last month with the former head of Amazon UK. As we saw the expansion of IP law that made it illegal to jailbreak devices and add ad blockers and privacy blockers and do other things that allow, say, gig workers to refuse to take jobs unless the wage rose to a threshold that all the gig workers in a region agreed was sufficient for a living wage. Even as those forces melted away, you saw tech workers holding the line against their bosses. And I think this is one of the reasons that tech bosses are so horny about AI. If you listen to the rhetoric carefully, you'll hear that what they really are excited about is not just the idea of generically replacing labor with AI, but specifically replacing coders with AI. And if you talk to experienced coders about what it's like to co-pilot your programming session with AI, very experienced coders say, oh, well, I can get a little bit of efficiency gains around the edges. But the idea that you replace all those very experienced coders and replace them with low-level coders without much experience who just supervise the AI is a recipe for producing tech debt at scale, where you have lurking bugs that eventually come back to bite you in the butt. But for tech bosses, firing this uppity workforce, adding to the 250,000 that they fired in 2023, the 150,000 they fired in 2024, the tens of thousands they fired this year, the ones that Facebook has just announced they're going to fire with a 5% across the board wage cut that's coupled with double bonuses for their executives this year. This is the thing that excites them, is the ability to get rid of the last group of people who, like these tech workers who just resigned from the US government, have said, I will not allow my boss to harm my users.
I wanted to ask you a speech you gave in Toronto on Monday evening. You talked about the Trump presidency as an existential crisis, but also one that presents opportunities. What kind of opportunities?
Yeah, sure. When life gives you SARS, you got to make sarsaparilla. And if you look at the worst tech policies around the world, they came at the end of a coercive process delivered by the U.S. trade representative, who said that if you want free trade with the U.S., if you don't have to pay tariffs when your goods are exported to the U.S., you are going to have to agree that it's illegal to reverse engineer and modify U.S. tech products, which means that you can't modify the digital diagnostic system in a car so that any mechanic can fix it without buying $10,000 per vendor tools from the official vendors. It means that if you want to refill printer ink cartridges so that you can make your own generic ink in country rather than paying the American firms like HP the incredible premiums they charge on ink. I mean, I know ink is not our biggest issue here, but ink costs $10,000 a gallon. It's the most expensive fluid you as a civilian can purchase without a permit. Ink is so expensive that now you print your grocery lists with colored water that costs more per milliliter than the semen of a Kentucky Derby winning stallion. And the only reason that Canada, Mexico, European countries in the global south can't refill their ink cartridges is reverse engineering the lock on the ink cartridge is illegal. Now, if the only reason we have these laws is because these countries have pursued a tariff-free relationship with the U.S., and if Trump is engaged in this like unscheduled mid-air disassembly of the global trade system, and now we have Canadians faced with 25% across-the-board tariffs to ship their goods to the U.S., why bother keeping these laws on the books? And if they do remove these laws, if we do allow domestic tech competitors all over the world to reverse engineer, modify, and erode the high monopoly rents extracted by these American tech firms, we do something very effective in this trade war, because the only thing keeping the S&P 500 afloat are these tech monopolists. If you take the big tech stocks out of the S&P 500, you've got a stock market that has been in decline for a decade. And when you decompose their balance sheets and you see where they get all their money, it's from price gouging on repairs, service, parts, consumables, software. Every time a Canadian software author writes an app and a Canadian customer buys that app, 30 cents of every dollar that Canadian customer spends makes a round trip through Cupertino, California, where Apple takes 30 cents out of it. We could just abolish that system and create a 30% premium for every newspaper that collects subscription dollars through an app, every software author, every musician, every book author, every music or games creator who runs through these big US app stores. And if you did this, you would kick American big industry right in the dongle. If you're angry at Elon Musk, don't just get performatively offended about his Nazi salutes. Make it legal for mechanics all over the world to jailbreak Teslas, so that every subscription feature in that Tesla that generates the recurring revenue source that creates Tesla's ridiculous earnings to valuation ratio, all of those car owners can just for one price get all that service unlocked. Elon Musk never gets another dime from them. That really hits him where it hurts. He loves the attention that he gets from the Nazi salute. He's going to be a lot less happy if he can't get, a couple $100 every month from every Tesla owner for access to the full battery or the acceleration curve or any of the other things that he sells as a subscription in his cars.
Elon Musk recently appeared on Fox News, as usual, alongside President Trump, defending his actions at DOGE.
One of the biggest functions of the DOGE team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing, because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
So that's some of what Elon Musk said. But I also want to follow up with what just happened at Housing and Urban Development, the agency. All the workers were ordered back. Washington Post reporting that the Trump administration plans to slash half of the workforce of HUD. Current and former employees said the cuts are likely to upend housing markets, make homes less affordable, royal mortgage transactions. On Monday, when workers returned to work, the screens all over HUD on all the floors at HUD headquarters were apparently hacked to show a looped AI-generated video portraying, and we're going to show this, President Trump kissing the feet of Elon Musk. The video was labeled in big white letters, "Long live the real king."
My God.
Even as a science fiction writer, Cory Doctorow, could you have imagined anything more strange than this reality we're living in right now?
Well, as a science fiction writer, I especially appreciate the fact that Elon Musk has two left feet in that AI-generated image. You could not ask for a stupider timeline than the one in which you get these AI gonks in your weird propaganda videos. Look, this is a funny spectacle. It's very interesting to see, and I'm sure this gave heart to a lot of demoralized HUD workers. And the point of this chaotic blitz is to demoralize their opponents, right?
Chaotic blitz.
In the reality-based world, even if you are worried about government waste, even if you want to make the government smaller, you have to acknowledge the empirical fact that payroll accounts for 4% of the federal budget. If Elon Musk manages to cut 50% of the federal workforce, a move that would leave us without functional roads or aviation or any of these other things that you kind of need if you're going to make money out of the economy, he would cut 2% of the federal budget. You know, you can find a couple $1 trillion in government waste. All you have to do is look for beltway bandits who are marking up their services to the U.S. government by triple-digit margins. Unfortunately, those aren't the people that they're pursuing.
I ain't mad at the motherfucker.
And Cory, I wanted to ask you about Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old suspect or charged with the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This is eerily reminiscent of one of your novels, Radicalized, in 2018. Could you talk about that novel and also how this issue personally relates to your own life?
And Juan, Cory's having a little trouble hearing you, but he's asking about Luigi Mangione, and if you can relate it to what happened there with also your own experience.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to have to out myself here. I'm a Canadian. Like all the best Americans, we're everywhere. We're just like serial killers. We look just like everyone else. And in 2019, I published this book called Radicalized. And there's a novella in it, this title novella, Radicalized, which was a rumination on my experience as a Canadian moving to the United States. And for the first time encountering this gun culture firsthand. And being somewhat baffled, not just by the obvious problems of having guns everywhere, but by the very strange nature of gun violence, right? We have a country in which very heavily armed, very angry men shoot people for the most absurd reasons, right? And in my local subreddit for the town I live in Burbank, you will see people saying, well, I hate the people who use their phones in the movie theater, but I wouldn't dare say anything to them about it because they might shoot me. You know, I was only in country for a few days before someone told me you must never flip off someone in traffic. They're going to kill you. And yet you have these guys
like the
who died
goddamn
heavily armed,
freeways of Los Angeles
have
County.
the people they love most in the world, their wives, their children, who are being
always having
condemned to
shootouts
die
on the
by
motherfucker.
insurance executives who've taken thousands of dollars out of their paycheck every month since they entered the workforce. And those people walk around seemingly without ever fearing anything. So I wrote this novella about a message board where these guys hang out, a message board for men whose wives and children are dying of cancer and who've been denied care through the insurance market, and who, just like a lot of other online communities full of very angry people, turns into a festering pit of violence, and who then embark on a campaign of suicide bombings and killings across the country, men who've lost everything, lost their families, and find themselves with nothing else to live for. It was a thought experiment. It was a way of reflecting on something that I found odd here in America. And when Luigi Mangione allegedly shot that insurance executive, I certainly felt a bit of the cold brew. When they found his Goodreads, I was very hopeful and ultimately gratified to see that he hadn't read my book and mistaken it for an instruction manual. But really, I think the strangest question about this is, how did it take so long for this to happen, right? How did it take so long for people who are so angry to target the people who hurt them the most instead of their intimate partners or the guy who cut them off in traffic or the person using their phone in the movie theater?
And finally, Cory, Doctorow, we're talking about the old book, Radicalized. You've got a new book. You're traveling the country and the world promoting Troubles, a Martin Hench novel, wearing your mask so you can be safe. Very quickly, summarize it for us, and what it's like to be going around this country at this moment.
Sure. So Martin Hench is this recurring forensic accountant character that I've written now in 3 different books. His story is that from the 1980s to the mid-2020s, he has been in Silicon Valley, unwinding every scam that every tech bro could cook up. And he's kind of the Zelig of high-tech crime. So wherever you have a scam, you've got Martin Hench. In this novel, I go back to his origin story, the early 1980s, where as an MIT dropout who leaves the computer science program because he's too busy programming computers to do his computer science homework, he ends up getting a CPA, following his genius programmer roommate to Silicon Valley, and getting embroiled in one of the weird PC fights of the days, because the PCs were very weird when they first kicked off. He ends up in a battle between 2 companies. One's called Fidelity Computing. It's a pyramid selling scheme that targets Facebook
universal
groups
because white
led by a
people are
Mormon
concerned
bishop,
about
an
being
Orthodox
replaced
rabbi, and a Catholic priest
by Africans
who
and
recruit
other racial
parishioners
groups.
to prey upon one another, to sell each other crappy PCs that are locked into their ecosystem forever. It's
And
sort of a
don't forget,
primitive
there's a few of us
Steam Apple where you
diasporic
can only use
Africans
their special
left.
fanfold paper with slightly wider sprockets and their printers, their special floppies and their floppy drives. Their software isn't compatible with anything else. And there is a rival company founded by 3 women who were his top sales reps who have left this company to found a rival company to rescue these parishioners who've been trapped in this grift. One is an Orthodox woman who's left the faith because she came out as a lesbian and her family kicked her out. One is a Mormon woman who's left the LDS over its opposition to the Equal Rights Amendment. And one, your next guest will like this, is a nun who's left her order because she's gotten involved with liberation theology movements in Central America during the Dirty Wars. And they're kicking off what seems like a commercial battle, but which turns into a shooting war, because people who are willing to make millions of dollars stealing from their parishioners are not above spectacular acts of violence to maintain that grift. What I think of this book as is a return to the first days of computing, when the seeds of a word I coined that I can't say on the air for reasons that anyone who's watched a famous George Carlin sketch will know, a word we can euphemistically call impoopification.
You're famous for this word.
This word that was the word of the year by the American Dialect Society, Australia's Macquarie Dictionary, the British New Scientist magazine. Impoopification, soon coming to a book from Farrar, Straus and Giroux next October, is a theory that describes platform decay, how these platforms lock people in and then abuse them and become worse and worse, but we can't seem to leave them until they're just a giant pile of crap. And we've all experienced this decay of platforms that we relied on in so many ways. And the seeds of that were planted back in the 1980s. There were always people who looked at computers and thought about how they could use them to exploit, surveil, and lock in the people around them.
Right.
And then there were people who looked at them and saw in them the potential for a great liberatory project. And that fight between good and evil has been underway since the 80s. But in the 80s, something remarkable happened. You had the ascent of neoliberalism and the dismantling of antitrust law. We forget this, but the Apple II Plus went on sale the same year Ronald Reagan went on the campaign trail. And this was the moment in which we started to legalize new predatory forms of capitalism. It's the moment where pyramid schemes were legalized by Jerry Ford. And so that's why I find myself writing about this now.
Well, Cory Doctorow is who you're listening to. He's a science fiction author, activist, journalist. His new book just out is Picks and Shovels, a Martin Hench novel. Cory Doctorow has been working at the Electronic Frontier Foundation for over 20 years. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you.
I ain't got no money for you, lady. I need somebody to donate to me. Fuck that bullshit.
Hey,
donate to Shabaka'S and Cory.
Hey, leave Amy Goodman alone. She's been around for like 40 years.
Yeah, I watched her grow old on the idiot box, man, just like I'm watching myself grow old, And remember, young man, everybody gonna be old too.
All right, what's your thoughts on?
Oh, goddamn, boy, make an old man wish for younger days right there. Who that?
Oh, that's the sister from I forgot where she's from. She's from a continent though, but she gonna give us an update on what's happening in Rwanda.
Oh yeah,
the U.S.
That's a killing field for real.
The U.S. sanctions Rwandan government officials for their role in escalating crisis in the DRC.
Right.
Hello, African Diaspora News family. My name is Renee Lumurema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News channel. I'm reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa, and welcome back to another informative episode right here on the African Diaspora News YouTube channel. Don't forget to leave this broadcast a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this segment to your social media platforms, but most importantly, let us engage in the comment section below. When you see my face, I'm about to address the injustices of our Black African brothers and sisters across the globe. Now let us get into it. United States imposes sanctions on Rwandan officials amid DRC conflict and refugee crisis. The United States Department of the Treasury has imposed sanctions today on a Rwandan government minister and a senior member of an armed group, accusing them of being involved in the violence and human rights violation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, known as the DRC. These sanctions target individuals and entities connected to the ongoing conflict, where Rwanda is accused of supporting the M23 rebel group, although Rwanda denies these allegations. The U.S. has called for Rwanda to immediately withdraw its
No,
troops
Michael,
from
yeah,
DRC
that's exactly
and
what it's
stop
coming
supporting
to.
the M23, urging the country to re-engage
This is what
in
all that AI
negotiations
shit is
under
about.
the Angola-led Luanda process to resolve the ongoing crisis.
It's
This
Mutamba,
move
sweetie.
comes amid rising international pressure
Long
on
live the
Rwanda
spirit of
as the
Queen
United Nations
Nzinga.
reports around 30,000 refugees fleeing to Burundi in recent weeks due to the rebels' advances.
Has also exacerbated exploitation and trafficking in eastern DRC's mineral sector, with widespread evidence that 3T minerals are being smuggled to enter international supply chains, including through neighboring countries. We urge an immediate cessation of sourcing of minerals from areas controlled by M23, particularly those identified as red zones by the DRC government. It is beyond time for this Council, the UN, and the international community to marshal a strong and unambiguous response to M23 and Rwandan actions which undermine prospects for peace and bring the region closer to the brink of an all-out war.
Pressure now has Kigali firmly in its sights, as the Security Council also mulls a draft resolution to address the conflict in eastern Congo.
Sustained pressure is needed now to compel Rwanda to return to the negotiations under the Angola-led Luanda process and to work in good faith toward a diplomatic resolution to the conflict in eastern DRC. The United States is prepared to work with council members on sanctions nominations in the 1533 committee, and we urge council members to take
It's not
urgent
Angola, it's Mutamba.
Furthermore, we remain prepared to leverage all the tools at our disposal in order to hold accountable those responsible for sustaining armed conflict, instability, and insecurity in the DRC.
The Rwandan government has condemned the U.S. decision to sanction a government minister for his alleged role in the conflict in the east of neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Announcing the financial sanctions on Thursday, the U.S. Treasury Department said Rwanda's Minister of State for Regional Integration, James Karibe, a former army chief, was central to his country's support for the M23 rebel group. Also sanctioned was Lawrence Kanyuka, the M23's spokesman, as well as two companies he controls in Britain and France, the U.S. Treasury said. Kabaribe was sanctioned because he is central to Rwanda's support for the M23 armed group. It is said that Kabaribe, together with Kanyuka, were linked to violence and human rights abuses in DRC, or in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They are destabilizing activities in the DRC, and the U.S. is not having it. Rwanda's foreign ministry said the sanctions would not resolve the conflict in the DRC, terming them unjustified and unfounded. The U.S. says its sanction to Rwanda is their way of ensuring a peaceful resolution to this conflict. I mean, we all know what the United States means when they say they are ensuring a peaceful resolution to a conflict. It means back off Rwanda so we can continue exploiting the natural resources of the DRC. What people don't know is that Rwanda has the right to defend its borders because the war was getting dangerous and extremely close to its borders. So Rwanda is just doing what any country is doing, protecting its borders. And remember about the segment I told you guys about the M23 and the Tutsis. The Tutsis are the M23. The Tutsis are Congolese. They're not Rwandan. So how can Rwanda back up M23, whereas the M23 has beef with their own government? Their own government is trying to steal land from them and give it to the international companies or give it to the Western countries to exploit and mine these natural resources, leaving the people of Congo in worse poverty state than they've ever faced before. I mean, how can the richest country in terms of natural resources be the poorest today? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We can only account it back to the Congo government, that the Congo government is giving away resources and land to international companies, to Western countries. And the government is only is in on that deal because it's benefiting. Government officials are benefiting, leaving the people hungry, poor, and God knows how.
They're on puppet strings.
In Rwanda for trying to protect its borders. No. And by the way, the Tutsis are M23, and there are Tutsis also found in Rwanda. Remember when during the Berlin conference, they would cut into regions and provinces, and they didn't care who gets who.
Exactly.
The Tutsis were divided.
That part.
The other part fell in Rwanda, the other part in the Eastern DRC. So obviously, if the Tutsis from the DRC are in trouble, the Tutsi brothers and sisters from Rwanda will obviously come and help them. But that doesn't mean that the situation that is happening in Congo right now, and people being separated and being put in camps or refugee camps, is entirely the Rwandan government's problem or the Rwandan government's fault. It's not their fault. It's not entirely their fault. The Congo government is not being honest. They know what they're doing with these Western countries. They know what they are giving to these Western countries and leaving their citizens into worse poverty state and leaving their citizens stripped off their human rights and dignity. They know what they're doing. They must not lie. And we know wherever the United States is involved, it's all a lie. The United States is a country that funds terrorists like Boko Haram that killed millions of Nigerians. They fund terrorist groups to go into countries and divide countries, to disband and undermine the sovereignty of a country. That is what the United States does. If there's ever an organization that seems to oppose its country or wants to undermine the sovereignty of that country or wants to cause chaos, like what the AfriForum is doing, the United States will back you. The United States will fund you. The United States is funding Israel.
Barack
and we know
Obama
what
for
Israel
that
is
shit.
in Hamas.
And thank Barack Obama. Ain't that there what we said, Brother Chair, about 4 years ago?
We talking about peaceful resolutions and negotiations. They are the last people because they are known for funding terrorist groups. They deserve to be sanctioned for their actions. No, United States have been bullying everybody in this world. They're sanctioning everybody left, right, and center. For what? For what? So that we can be reminded of their power? Right now, they look like bullies. And last time I checked, the United States is not the capital city of the world. So Rwanda must sanction the US back. No, man. And as if we can look at it and what I've explained to you, Rwanda is actually an obstacle course or an obstacle. Are you listening to me? Rwanda is an obstacle for these Western countries to come into Congo and steal minerals from the people there and enrich themselves and exploit the people's labor, work them to death. Rwanda is that barrier that stops these Western countries from doing what they're doing. That's why they can go together, they can come together, these European unions, and, have meetings about a foreign country. They can't have meetings about their own countries. They always have to have meetings about Africa because they are so power hungry. They are so, I lost words. They are so selfish. They're so selfish that whenever they see minerals, they have to come amongst themselves to launch an attack as a united front because they know that Africa is not in a position to, to defend itself. It does not have the military power and budget to defend itself. That's why these European countries and the Western countries can come together, form a big union so that they can come here and bully us. No, it's time we kick out these Western powers, these European unions. How dare they host meetings in our name without us knowing and tell us what to do in our own continent? Are they mad? You don't see South Africa and Ghana and Nigeria hosting seminars and little meetings to go to Belgium and disband and undermine Belgium's sovereignty. You don't see us doing meetings behind the Western powers' back and, forming meetings on how to disband those countries, but yet they have the guts to form little meetings in our names. Why? No, man. I've never seen South Africa and Nigeria coming together and discussing how they can undermine the sovereignty of the United States or any European Union. I've never seen of that, but they have the guts to do that. It's nonsense. What do you think about this segment? Comment to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these.
It's about to go down. Family, we taking bets tonight. We taking bets. We like Vegas right now. Who is going to be the next Democrat to fall? Go ahead. The polls are open. This is going to be election season, but it's going to be right here on the Black Alpha Network. You got your money on Joyless Reed? How about Al Herm Sharpton? I don't know. It also might be Jasmine Ratchet Crockett. I don't know. But then again, it could be Brandon Johnson. Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing for certain, family. This is going to be an epic broadcast. Everybody share this one out because we got some special guests in the house and we're going to break it down certified Black Alpha style. Let's go to work. Free Huey.
Black Alpha Network. Home of Black excellence. Power to the people.
Certified salute to the whole family in the building tonight. I appreciate y'all. Oh, we got us a special episode. I need everybody to share this one out. Let everybody know.
You got to pay us, man.
Right now, because we are going to drop some jewels and we are going to break everything down. Y'all crazy in the chat right now because I'm literally asking y'all what Democrat is going to fall next. And y'all really in there debating which one is going to be. I told you my money on Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is about 777 years old. So he ain't got that much time left any damn way. All right, so we can go ahead and get him out of here. But family, how bad has it been for the Democratic Party? Are the Democrats done for y'all? Are the Democrats out of here? Does everybody really, genuinely, sincerely know that the Democrats' time is up? We know. We've been saying it. And we got some brothers and sisters all throughout the United States who are collectively running them out the paint. And to this point, family, where the Democrats are falling out and crashing out every day, it's hard to keep up. It is hard to keep up with who is going to fall out. Let's go ahead and run down the whole show today, family. Let's talk about what's really going on out here in the United States of America. I'm going to make it simple, as we always do. You have certified Black Americans. We have real certified Black Americans. And then you got all the Democratic shields who pretend to be us. I call them counterfeits. Well, no longer can they come around and cosplay us. They can push anti-us agendas. They're all being seen for what it's worth. And they got some problems right now. They got some real problems. See, it used to just be Black Americans giving them that work. But, now they're getting fired. They're getting canceled out. They're getting ran out the paint. They don't know where to go. They don't know what time it is. Really, the only thing left right now is the unemployment line, the unemployment office. And they calling for every single one of them. And that's a damn good thing. Get your popcorn out, family, because what we're going to do, we're going to take this victory lap around every single Democratic shield that has ever cosplayed, ever disrespected, or ever insulted the lineage. Damn, we got almost 500 people in here in less than 3 minutes, fam. That's how we get down right here. So let me tell y'all, today, as we represent, I want you to remember, okay, because we're not going to forget. I want you to remember every single time you seen a Democrat come out here and say, you better shut up and vote. Remember that. Write that down. Put it on the side. I want you to remember every single Democrat who came around here and said, your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote for every single agenda other than your own. I want you to remember that. And then most importantly, I want you to remember all of these Democratic mayors, governors, senators, presidents, vice presidents who've been telling us that we need to support policies that bring in Julio and Pedro and Mutombo and Lumbumba. Remember all of them, because if you put that in your mind today, then you are going to have an extra special time today on this episode, because what we're going to do, we're going to highlight every single thing that was said. But the difference between then and now, y'all, is today we're going to make sure that the Democrats feel all of the smoke that we've always had for them. And if you want to start off with people who are getting ran out the paint, let's go ahead and start off with this guy right here. You know, when you see that deer in headlights look, you know, somebody know they scared, they know their time is up. He doesn't.
Oh, man.
Just briefly. But yeah, shout out to Black Alpha Network for this clip, but this is not what I wanted to play. What are your thoughts on the Rwandan government, Shabaka, and the sanctions?
All right. Once again, it's neocolonialism, as the sister was saying. Okay. What it is it's the vibranium, the silicon.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to, is the vibranium. See, this is why they got us playing against each other. See, because these crackers, these Zelensky, stinky birds, dumpsters, and to quote your term, they see us as one big nigga, but we don't see ourselves as such. Is because if that there was to happen, they would say, you know what? That goddamn giant is waking the fuck up, so we got to give him some more dope, some more alcohol. Just like a motherfucker I had to kick off of Facebook as a friend talking about he a businessman, but he owns liquor stores. So I said, well, motherfucker, if you own liquor stores, then you destroying a community. Now, if you had owned like an exercise center or a place where our people can go get some holistic treatment, where our people can get our babies healthy to countermand this bullshit, but you selling liquor. Motherfucker, you're a goddamn parasite. I bet you don't drink, and then he told me some shit, and I unfriended the motherfucker, man. And I'm trying to remember who this flea was. Hell, it'll come back to me, Brother Che. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, it'll come back to me, man. But this motherfucker gonna crumb bomb on you. He crumb bombed on Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. He crumb bombed on Frontline Black News. He crumb bombed on your political ambitions. And
you talking about punk ass Jeff? Fuck Jeff.
No, I forgot this fool's name, man, but I'll text it to you, man, when I think about it. Because like I said, I got to start writing shit down. Okay. Yeah. But what it is, though, is that this motherfucker's talking about black people don't want to work, right? But, man, I own 4 liquor stores. I says, wait a minute, man. You own liquor stores? You don't own health food places? You don't own places, man, where we can go get medical treatment? But you own liquor stores.
Yep.
And I'm like, nah, man, you go take your bootleg ass, man, go get you some molasses, some more sugar, and go get fucked up. And answer me this. How much do you drink a day? You know what this motherfucker tell me? That he don't drink. He don't drink, but he sells liquor in the black community. Got 4 liquor stores in the black community. And what he's going to do is going to try to take his black ass up there, just like Robert Johnson did with BET, thought he was buying United. Just like what happened with Tyler Perry when he went out there to try to buy a part of Paramount. No. You on our puppet strings, Trick. We ain't going to be on yours. That's it. Yeah, probably like what the Godfather said, hey, we're going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Say it.
All right, Shabaka, there's like 2 topics left.
Yes, sir. Because I'm getting sleepy, man. I want to breeze through them. So if I doze off, man, please complete them. I'm feeling like you now, man. When you go out there and do the good things, man, for the community, you know, with the food bank and stuff like that. And you are the only political person, if I'm able to, that who I'm going to vote for. Everybody else can kiss my ass.
Oh, thank you, Shabaka.
I hate to put it like that, but, you know, for some odd reason, man, the chain of thought goes much quicker with Ebonics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Trump administration scrambles to rehire USDA bird flu experts after terminating them.
Boy, that boy a piece of work, ain't he? Yeah. And then just like our sister was saying, okay, as long as you are not around working an 8-hour shift around the birds, you should not get the bird flu. Right. Well, Lisa Cabrera, I tried to email your sister. You never got back with me.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of
all of the bird. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk and Donald Trump did it again. This time they fired all of the bird flu experts, people that were monitoring bird flu. And bird flu is actually, for the first time in my state, 2 people are hospitalized with it. And me, I don't want to see no more illnesses coming. Seriously, y'all. Wow. And now they're scrambling to try to hire all of these people back. And we saw them do that also with the nuclear safety team and never did get all of them back at all. And do you know they're also backtracking on the FAA fires too? You know,
what's Crew saying?
I don't understand.
A whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, because
why you got thousands of people that work for the federal government, and this is not a stain on them because they are actually victims to what Donald Trump and Elon are doing. You mean to tell me y'all can't pick a person to research these different departments to see what they do before you fire them? Why do y'all keep randomly firing people and then all of a sudden you're trying to say, oh, well, let's get them back?
That's the sign of a motherfucker who don't know what he's doing.
Inexperience. You know, and it's almost like y'all are winging it and you really truly don't know what you're doing.
Winging it, huh?
So
damn, Lisa.
We know bird flu is in the country, and you know what I also read, y'all? They've been killing whole flocks of birds.
776 years old.
Really not doing
well, I
any
mean,
good
I
to do
live
that.
doing life, Shiny, and live long enough, man. You'll be 1,000 years old. Just tell me, youngster.
And they still don't have this thing under control. So now
it happens to the best of us. If you live, you're gonna get old. Then when you get old, you're gonna die.
An entire flock of birds because it's not making any difference. It's not slowing it down or nothing. And it won't.
Because
you know why? Because
bullshit.
It's not just chickens and turkeys and anything that is being raised on a farm. It's also among migrating birds. So if you really can't control a bird's flight, then you're not going to be able to 100% control bird flu. As long as birds are flying from one location to another, you're never going to get rid of it.
That sounds like I need to go pay me some Keno, man. 777.
Calling millions, hundreds of millions of chickens, and they said it's not putting a dent in anything doing that. So, well, we already know the egg prices aren't going anywhere, right? So
don't buy the shit.
These bird flu experts, ladies and gentlemen, worked for the USDA. And a part of their job is that, any type of illnesses that are spreading among livestock or anything that can possibly jump to humans, like bird flu is. Bird flu has jumped to human beings.
Get our minds right.
Man, when I saw the symptoms, I don't want that. For real.
It seems that they got a failure
said it accidentally fired officials working on bird flu. And is trying to rehire them.
777,
They sure know how
man.
to make a
Shit, man.
mess
I
of
need to go
things.
play
That's
that
for
on
sure.
Keno.
If nothing else, that's what
Then
they know
I
how to
can play
do.
dice. I
So
just
the
got a
U.S. Department of
dozen for
Agriculture on Tuesday,
$2.99.
they
They
said over
got
the weekend
18
they
for
accidentally
$4.49. Eggs only high
fired
in certain
several
stores.
agency
Nah, man, I ain't
employees who
messing
were
with no eggs.
working
Okay,
on the
well, that
federal
there be at
government's
Kroger
response
crew.
to
Because I remember
H5N1
Kroger out
avian
there in
flu
Chi-Town.
outbreak.
Yeah, we got
The
Kroger out
agency
here in
is
Colorado.
now trying to quickly reverse these firings. Wow.
Lawsuits.
Clearly don't know what they're doing, y'all.
Bump your price.
Although several positions supporting bird flu experts were notified that their terminations over the weekend, we are working to swiftly rectify the situation and rescind those letters, a USDA spokesperson said in a statement. Well, if I were those people, I probably wouldn't come back. It would serve you right. It would serve your butt right.
Right.
So, anyway, the spokesperson noted that several agency positions were already exempted from the sweeping cuts President Donald Trump's administration is making across the federal government, adding that the Agriculture
Yes, food for
Department
less.
includes,
Yeah, food for less. Yeah,
continues
California's
to
for them.
prioritize the response to highly
Yeah, we
pathogenic
have King Super out
avian
here, crew.
influenza.
Yeah, which is Kroger. Okay.
The era is the
All
latest
right,
in the
crew.
Trump
Got you.
administration
both
attempts
in
to
jug.
rapidly shrink the size of the federal government by conducting mass
And coming
firings of federal workers. And y'all, that's the meeting he was having with his cabinet yesterday, telling them how to do mass firings. So you know more are coming. It was not just the people on probation that they're targeting, they're going well beyond that. So the next rounds of people are going to be folks that have been there for several years and they are not on probation at all. So I don't believe anybody is safe at this point that works for the federal government.
And that's
So
really
on
sad,
Friday,
too.
the administration
Yeah.
tried to notify some nuclear safety employees who were fired and are due to be reinstated. And they are now saying they are still struggling to find these folks.
Yep, I believe it.
And they didn't have their new contact information. That's because Elon had them wipe everything out once they were terminated, which was
Right.
absolutely stupid.
Totally.
Number one, you should keep that information until you have sufficiently paid every one of those employees. Okay, if you didn't do that, then you should not be wiping out the information.
Right.
You know, I don't agree with that, but this is what Elon had them doing. That's why they are now struggling. At his instruction, they are now struggling to get people back that never should have been fired.
Right.
So,
Lawsuits.
ladies and gentlemen, he said, you know, everything going on, it sure did not stop egg prices from soaring. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, they confirmed 68 cases among humans in the U.S. so far. I know 2 of them are in my state. On
No,
the
I'd
first
bum rush
day,
and get the
the
fuck up out of there
Agriculture
quickly.
Secretary, Brooke Rowland, convened a panel on bird flu and reviewed options for a comprehensive strategy to combat it.
That's the fuckery
Several
coming.
agencies within agriculture played a role in responding to outbreaks, including Agricultural Research Service and the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. So it is saying that Trump's layoffs has hit the National Animal Health Laboratory Network, which is involved in avian flu research. The layoffs concerned a number of Republican lawmakers who privately warned the Trump administration that such cuts
Go see the
could
movie
hamper
Outbreak.
the government's bird flu response.
Or Contagion.
And they told them to
Yeah. I
reconsider,
haven't seen Contagious
according to
yet.
2 Republican sources.
Yeah, Contagion.
So
Contagion.
lawmakers have
Okay.
received little guidance from the administration about the recent program cuts and staff terminations at USDA, which sources said had frustrated Republicans on the House Agriculture Committee. The panel, which oversees the USDA, provided a briefing to its members over the weekend, trying to provide some more clarity to lawmakers. Yeah, well, they're just messing everything up. And, you know, this DOGE situation is a joke. It is a joke. How do you fire and then rescind it? And you've done this, what? With the FAA, now this is going to be 3 times? Somebody don't know what the hell they're doing.
It's called
The layoffs also
bullshit.
concerned researchers working on bird flu, and also the Wisconsin Veterinarian Diagnosis Laboratory said that the firings of employees at the USDA National Animal Health Laboratory Network program would hurt efforts to combat the spread of bird flu. It's creating a lot of problems. Egg prices, which are already high, have continued to soar through the bird flu spread. Several committee
Don't
members
buy the
were
shit
back
and watch
in
the
their
prices
district,
come
and
down.
oh, they were getting an earful from their constituents over the sky-high prices of not only eggs but groceries. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a disgrace. The way this administration is functioning, it's a disgrace. It's sad to see this. And, you know, the worst part is the whole world is watching America fumble all over the place with this whole
All right, Shabaka, what's your thoughts on this?
Lisa Cabrera's right. Also, too, anybody who studied macroeconomics one-on-one knows that you want the price to come down on something, just simply don't buy it. And they will lower the price, not so much because they care about the public, but they will lower the price so therefore they could move the merchandise. Because the merchandise that stands there that's not moving occupies the space of other merchandise that can come in there and move. It's not rocket science. Say.
Yep. All right.
It actually is quite simple. All right, and I'm going to go on and make my closing, Brother Che, because these damn meds is getting to my ass. Okay, first place, appreciate Frontline Black News, Shabaka'S Blacc experience. Over the years, you know, we thank all our supporters, our well-wishers, and what have you. Those who don't say nothing. We really love. Yeah, I'm familiar with Food Max, Jay Militant. Very familiar with Food Max. I think they got a couple of them out here in Vegas. Yeah. So therefore, we appreciate our supporters. We appreciate our critics. We appreciate our haters as well too. See, look at this here. New York strip steaks at $5.99 a pound. Damn, crew, that's high in the motherfucker. A pound? So you go buy 2 pounds of that for New York strip steaks, and that's costing you $12.
Oh, hell no.
Damn. Yeah, prices is just fine. Yeah. But you know what they say, crew, and I ain't got to tell you, all money ain't good money. Does it sound like there's somebody who's stuck with them steaks? They're going to have a whole lot of that stuff go rotten.
Yeah, so the last topic is this Triple P from Torian. And it's about a historically black church that now owns the Proud Boys name.
Oh, yeah. I got to give some input on that. And that one, I'm out after that one. All right, so that's a good thing. And I'm really thinking that they just did that to humiliate the Proud Boys who need to be humiliated.
Right.
See, we need some shit like that.
Yeah.
What a way to end Black History Month, other than with a triple key for the downfall of one, but the benefit of another. Now, one of my supporters actually sent me this story, and neither I nor them knew that this even occurred. I didn't even know the story had even existed. But I said, you know what? I can't let a good opportunity like this pass me by. So as y'all can see by the screenshot on your page, it says a historic DC Black church now owns the Proud Boys name. Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church can seize any money the far-right group makes from selling merchandise.
Right.
And I'm sitting here saying to myself, oh, this sounds intriguing. Let me find out more. And find out more, I indeed did.
Yes, you did.
A DC judge awarded the Proud Boys trademarks to downtown's Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church Monday. The ruling means that the far-right group can no longer use its name and, quote, clears the way for the church to try to seize any money that the Proud Boys might make by selling merchandise like hats or t-shirts emblazoned with their name or with any of their familiar logos, including a black and yellow laurel wreath, the New York Times reports. So basically, the only way that the church won't make any money is if the Proud Boys stop selling any merchandise. But the thing is, they're so deep that people are going to continue to buy it. And see, this is the perfect storm for this church, because remember, the Proud Boys, like the leader Enrique Tarrio, they were some of the main ones leading the charge when January 6th happened, and with Trump pardoning them, I'm sure a lot of people actually bought a lot of the merch. Unfortunately, I wish this ruling would have happened a long time ago, because they probably would have racked up a whole bunch by this time, but it is what it is. The church where Frederick Douglass, Oprah Winfrey, and former President Obama have worshipped sued the Proud Boys in January 2021 after they destroyed Black Lives Matter signs during the mayhem that ensued around a December 2020 rally for President Trump. Proud Boys leader Henry Enrique Tarrio pleaded guilty to that act in July. The Proud Boys were ordered to pay the church more than $1 million in 2023, but the group failed to do so, leading to Monday's ruling. So imagine that if they would have only paid the church the little over $1 million that they were supposed to pay, which I'm almost certain they would have been able to pay, then they wouldn't be in this predicament right now where the church owns the name, which begs the question, the Proud Boys, did they even own that name? Because for them to just straight up like snatch that up and just like hand that right to them is insane. That just says to me, unless I could be wrong and someone could let me know in the comments, that they most likely didn't own the Proud Boys branding. They just plastered it. They just call themselves that. Trump pardoned Tarrio, who also pleaded guilty to bringing a high-capacity magazine into the district when he returned to office last month, and members of the group marched in D.C. on Inauguration Day. Tarrio called the ruling a, quote, betrayal of justice, according to the New York Times. So there you have it. Hey, I can't even knock it. That's, in my opinion, is how it should be done. However, and I have to kind of agree with the people in the chat under the post where I saw this on Twitter, they're probably, now that they know that this is that it's out there, they're going to go ahead and try to, I don't know what kind of thing they might try to do, but they said it would probably been best if they didn't even announce it. They should have just moved it in silence. But again, it is news. And the thing is, even if they did move in silence, it wouldn't matter, because you can't tell me that the Proud Boys aren't aware of this ruling. They have to at least be aware of it. It's not like they don't know. So what they're probably going to try to do is try to halt the selling of any merchandise so that church doesn't get any type of profit. But man, that's insane. That means anything that they sell with anything related to the Proud Boys, those profits goes directly to that church. Every last dime of it. They don't get nothing off of it, because basically you're just selling, you're just making money for that church. And they're going to have to convince people to stop buying. Because see, the people who are over it, they don't have to buy anymore. It's just the people, like the consumers, who may want a Proud Boys church shirt or any type of merchandise that they have. They're going to go out there and they're going to go and purchase it, and they're going to have to try to stop them from doing it. But good luck, because again, their branding has been around for a while now. They're a pretty popular group, unfortunately, calling them popular, and people are going to continue to purchase it. So it is what it is. If they would have just paid up the little over $1 million they were supposed to pay, like I said before, that I'm sure they were able to cover, they wouldn't be in this position, and they would still have, I guess you could say, ownership, if you want to call it that, of their name. But the fact that it fell into the hands of a Black organization, I'll put it like that, or a Black institution, that's what makes it even more interesting. Considering when you think about quote unquote Black companies that are in the hands of PC, aka BET, only Black in name, but it's owned by Viacom, which is owned by Paramount. So, yeah, it is what it is. What a way to end the month off. So while this does involve the Proud Boys via Enrique Tarrio, and it has really nothing to do with the initial story, I said, let me just go ahead and add this piece in here because this happened after I recorded the first part of the video. So as you can see, Enrique Tarrio was arrested after getting into an altercation with a protester down there near the Capitol. Now, here's the interesting thing. This guy just got pardoned. He got sentenced initially to 22 years in prison for his role in January 6th, considering he is the leader of the Proud Boys. And basically, without reading too much into the article itself, he was talking to a photographer down there because there was a protest, and he was talking to a photographer, and apparently one of the protesters got in his face, and he ended up swatting them. Like, he basically hit the person, and of course the cops was down there, and they saw it, and then they quickly arrested him. Like, he has to know that he is under a heavy microscope everywhere he goes. And why in the world would you go back down there? But then I had to think that I remember him saying something along the lines of he was going to get his retribution or something like that, or somehow get his revenge for, you know, how he was quote unquote treated after what happened with January 6th. And I'm saying this to myself, this dude is not wrapped too tight, because why would you say something like that? Because people are going to remember that. And every time you go down there, they're always going to keep a heavy eye on you, because you might actually try to pop something off based on what you're saying. They're going to take you seriously. And he went back to the scene of the crime. He got rearrested for basically assault. I don't know what else is going to come from that, but his arrest actually happened about, I think, like last week. I think it happened on the 21st, or at least that's when the story was reported, but it was definitely last week when it happened. Like I said, this guy's a whole clown. He's under a microscope, like I said. Everywhere he goes, he's going to have a presence there, but it's not the presence that he deserves at all. But it's also the same presence that he doesn't want either. But hey, it is what it
is. Oh, she look crazy in the motherfucker.
If you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, along with the bell icon, so you can be notified.
Brother Che, I'm out.
And if you're already subscribed, check and make sure that
Brother
YouTube
Che?
hasn't unsubscribed you. And of course, be sure to give the video a like, as well as share it on your social media. The white supremacist hate
Brother
that.
Che.
And now, the Sunday address.
Okay,
Before
ladies
diving
and
into this
gentlemen,
evening's
thank you
address,
for
I want to make a
joining
note
us
about
tonight.
next week's postings.
I'm
I'll be
out.
going on hiatus
You
for the
know.
week, so there's not going to be any moments of truth.
Please
We
keep
will,
in
of course,
touch.
resume with
All
next
right, Brother
Sunday's
Che.
evening address. In the meanwhile,
right.
I leave it to the family to continue
Professor
giving the
Speak.
enemy
I'm
pure
out.
hell.
Everybody have a nice
Now,
night. Good night from
that
Sin
said,
City.
I've said it before, and I think it bears repeating. It's so ironic that the man whose name has become synonymous with lies has a lot of people speaking the truth, or rather not speaking the truth. Recently, as part of his ongoing Operation Mega Chaos, the Orange Man decided to let loose the dogs of Boer, which in this case means the unreconstructed apartheid reject Elon Musk and his maniac minions have been set loose in DC, and the predictable chaos has ensued. Now keep in mind, these are the guys who love to brag that apparently they are the only people who earn their position in the world. These guys are the ones who do it based on merit. Meanwhile, we see the only thing that they've got is the old boy network that hands them jobs. The latest recipient of white privilege du jour is a guy named Marco Ilez, a DOGE employee. That's Elon Musk's fictional Department of Governmental Efficiency. He got fired because a number of his racist posts had come to light. Imagine that. Elon Musk, this apartheid reject, he surrounds himself with a whole bunch of bigots and racists. I mean, frankly, I'm shocked. because Elon Musk is the last person on earth that I would ever associate with anything racist. I mean, the guy has been just the most colorblind, egalitarian, racially neutral person you can imagine. Well, except for the Nazi salute. And except for the fact that he seems to agree with everybody who posts on Twitter something that's anti-black or racist or even anti-Semitic. And the numerous lawsuits against his companies for racial discrimination. I mean, if you just leave those things out, isn't Elon Musk the poster boy for the most colorblind person in the world? But getting back to this Mark Illes character in particular, this individual is one of Elon Musk's picks to be in his DOGE division. And these guys are supposed to be running around having direct access to the U.S. Treasury Department's payment system. And what do we know about this Illes guy? Well, we know that he likes to post all kinds of hot takes on Twitter. The account in question previously had the username @Marco_Illes, and the user described themselves as an employee of SpaceX and Starlink. Illes allegedly changed the name of the Twitter account to @NULLPTR, a play off a keyword in C++ computer code language. Now, among his many hot takes, he wrote, "Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. Normalize Indian hate." He posted that one back in September. Apparently, he didn't like hearing about the predominance of people from India in California, Silicon Valley. Interesting. You got all these people here who try to claim that they don't have anything against Asians at all. They want a colorblind, merit-based society, and yet here these guys are saying, ooh, these people are out competing against us. Well, we're going to lie when we go to court and say, oh, we're going to file a lawsuit on their behalf. And as soon as the lawsuit is successful, okay, now all you Asians get the hell out of here. And you can't say it's because of race because you were in there with us. You vouched for us. You were part of that lawsuit too. So now we went ahead and we got you shut out too. The black media's been talking about that for years. These little racists out there in Silicon Valley, they don't like these Asians. They never did. It was always an ethno-political bank shot, this whole nonsense about, oh, we're going to say that Asians are being discriminated against and blacks are being given preferential treatment. The people saying that knew it was a lie, and the individuals who went along with it knew that it was a lie too. But for the coup de grace, this Illes character posted in June, I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth. Now, this is the guy who Elon Musk wanted to have direct access to the U.S. Treasury Department's payment system. On a side note, I think it's totally natural that the richest man on earth, who is also one of, if not the biggest recipient of U.S. government and state subsidies, is now wanting to get his hooks directly into the U.S. Treasury. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? But this is the reason why I actually like the fact that the orange man is in the White House now. All of these little white supremacists who have had to try to pretend that they were basically human beings all of this time, now they can show their pure savage face. They feel like, hey, we got the orange man in here. We know he's only here for 4 years. And if we're going to have a transformative effect, transformative meaning destructive, then we got to go ahead and back him 110%. What do we have to lose, as the orange man would say? So it's good that he's president because now Elon Musk is showing what the world he's always been. He's not pretending to be anything else, and he's brought all of his little racist buddies with him. And the people who thought they were on the team, well, they're finding out that basically they were never on the team to begin with. Here's a fun fact for you. J.D. Vance's wife is Indian. So when this Illes guy was saying he wanted to normalize Indian hate, hell, he might as well have said that straight to the vice president's wife's face. And yet, J.D. Vance, who claims that there's not a racist bone in his body, why, look at my Indian sock puppet, my Indian crash dummy, my Indian wife here. When he was asked about this, he said, well, maybe Illes should just be brought back. See, this is why I'm glad the orange man won the election. These white supremacists are being forced to go on the record. He wasn't about to sit there and say, well, I think that we should go ahead and have this guy thrown out. No, they're trying to normalize all of this hate speech. And if J.D. Vance's wife gets caught in the crossfire, so be it. He's throwing her under the bus. He ain't sticking up for his wife. Far as he's concerned, her dignity means nothing. It's his white privilege that matters. But this Illes guy, he hates Israel. And this story broke about the same time Benjamin Netanyahu came to town with Trump saying we're going to take over Gaza and turn it into the Riviera. Of course, neither Netanyahu nor anybody else in his entire government, quote unquote, has said a word about this incident. Gee, I wonder why. They've been losing their minds for the last year if a college kid so much as has on a Palestinian flag lapel pin. But here you got a guy sitting right next to the richest man on earth, being vouched for by that guy, and he's sitting here saying, I don't care if Israel gets wiped out, and Netanyahu doesn't say boo about it. But this guy who said all this stuff about Israel, he'd like to see Israel wiped off the face of the earth. Now, this Elez guy, he was forced to hand in his resignation, and you would have thought that was the end of it. But Elon Musk, he was not going to let this one go away. After all, this is one of his guys, and he's trying to show that apartheid South Africa is coming to the United States. This is the hard line he wants to take because that's what Elon Musk is after. He wants to go ahead and see if he can bring back the good old days. And that being the case, he went on his little platform of Twitter. He asked the people in a poll whether or not they would want him to rehire this Elez character, as if the fix wasn't in from the very beginning. How the hell is this guy supposed to have a poll on Twitter when he's the one who controls the website? So the result is probably going to be whatever he wants it to be. And what a surprise. The results of his so-called poll, all of Elon Musk's little neo-Nazis said, sure, go ahead and bring back this Elez character. You should go ahead and rehire him. Ain't that something? The guy hands in his resignation, and then you got the guy who's really running the country now, and he's saying, you know what? I don't care what he said, what he's done. You guys tell me whether or not you think he should be brought back. Yeah, as if Twitter is going to be the kind of place that says, let's go ahead and punish white supremacist talking points. So it's been a very busy week around the Orange Man's insane asylum. This guy who caused all of this problem, he resigns only for phony Stark to say, I'm going to go ahead and bring the guy back. And what about all of those people who had previously been pretending as if they were just so concerned about anti-Semitism before now? You know, the people who basically wanted to get college kids thrown out of college simply because they said you shouldn't exterminate the Palestinians. Or the people who wanted to try to turn black people into the face of anti-Semitism for the umpteenth time in a row. What about these people this week? Where the hell have they been at? Where the hell were all of these people who were doing this phony outrage about Kyrie Irving and Kanye West at from last year? I'd like to know, where's Ari Emanuel at? He can go ahead and treat us to another one of his BS-laden op-eds. And meanwhile, Jonathan Greenblatt and his pals over at the ADL have been MIA. In fact, if you want to see just how desperate the ADL is to stay away from this, this is the front page of their website. Doesn't mention anything about the fact that the man who is literally sitting next to the president has one of his flunkies and lackeys talking about how he doesn't care if Israel gets wiped off the face of the earth. However, if you scroll down on this website, you do see that the ADL is once again, just in the last couple of days, rehashing the Kanye West as an anti-Semite trope. This is what's on the front page of their website right now, today, as we speak. This is what's the most important thing that the ADL is focusing on right now, not the guy who's the richest man on the planet sitting next to the president in the nuclear button as they fight to re-employ individuals who are saying wipe Israel off the map. They don't even mention it. On the ADL's website, they don't even mention it, as if it didn't even happen. They're not concerned about the guy who's the richest man on the planet giving Nazi salutes, who is going to the mat for individuals who say wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Instead, it's let's go ahead and rehash Kanye West. Yeah, because they're scared. Black people are soft targets because we have no power. Meanwhile, you got these white supremacists who are in there, rich white supremacists, powerful white supremacists, and you got the ADL quaking in their boots. It just goes to show what the ADL has devolved into. You know, decades ago, it was quite a while back, the ADL was actually a respectable organization, more or less. But now, since Abe Foxman and worst of all, Jonathan Greenblatt have been in charge, this is what the organization has become. They long ago stopped caring about anything having to do with advocacy or public safety for people of the Jewish faith. Instead, for about the last 30 years or so, the ADL has had Abe Foxman and Jonathan Greenblatt clout chasing for their own personal benefit. They try to get as many people behind their parade as possible so that they can walk in the room and say, see, I got people behind me. I got people behind me. But it's been all about them. They don't care about anyone else. Because when you sit on your hands as the richest man on the planet, fights to re-employ a guy who said things far more inflammatory than any of the kind and charitable things that college kids were saying last year, when you decide that you're going to prioritize terrorizing college kids for exercising their First Amendment rights, meanwhile, you got a blatant anti-Semite telling you he wants to wipe your little home country off the face of the earth, and you don't say boo, instead you're like, let's deflect on a Kanye West. Let's find a safe target to go after. When that's what you're doing, you are a liar when you claim that you are concerned about the safety and well-being of Jews. You cannot tell me that anything that Kanye West says is more threatening or frightening to you than what the richest man on the planet's buddies are saying. This is what's going on right now. You got the man who is right next to the president, basically the co-president of the United States, which is what Elon Musk is. And these are the people that he's bringing into the administration to make policy. But then again, when Elon Musk was giving Nazi salutes at Trump's inauguration festivities, these exact same groups, were mum. They didn't have nothing to say about it. Well, he made a gesture. Yeah, you real scared now. What they're showing you is basically they know that they got a guy in the White House now who's not afraid to pull their card. And Trump, he already said some stuff in the past that made them raise an eyebrow. But now you got Elon Musk in there giving his history. He's the richest man on the planet. What are you going to do? You're going to put the arm on him? He's already gotten his hook so deep inside of the military-industrial complex with Starlink. And he's also got his hooks in deep with all of that Green New Deal stuff. He's shored up his position very firmly. So the usual tricks that they might try to use to put the pressure on, put the arm on him, that ain't going to work, especially considering how much money he gave to Trump's campaign. Clearly, somebody must have taken away Jonathan Greenblatt's phone because he hasn't been bringing that same energy to Twitter like he did before. He's been in hiding. Nobody's saying anything about the fact that the man standing next to the most powerful guy on the planet is surrounded by card-carrying bigots who are saying all this stuff about Israel could be wiped off the face of the earth for all they care. And when this guy is forced to resign, Elon Musk himself, I guess Greenblatt's been quiet for the same reason that he and other professional outrage actors said nothing when Musk agreed with a tweet that accused Jews of hating white people. They didn't have anything to say about that either. Yeah, as far as they're concerned, we're going to go ahead and take shots at black people because they're safe targets. They don't have the ability to push back. But as for these white supremacists, the ones who actually did carry out the Holocaust and every single episode of anti-Semitic persecution that there's ever been has been carried out by black people. And yet black people are the main ones that the Jonathan Greenblatts and others decide that they're going to try and make into the whipping boy for the umpteenth time. After all that, after all the actual racism and hatred, not phony pretend bigotry like the nothing burger Kyrie Irving was accused of, or the garbage tier propaganda that Juju Chang ran against black people, we have actual anti-Asian hate and actual anti-Semitic remarks coming from the highest office in the land, and all those same people who are full of so much outrage who couldn't wait to wag their finger in black people's faces are in hiding today. That's what this evening's address is about. And this is the kind of thing that you and I should make sure to bear in mind, because this is the kind of thing that we can throw in their faces repeatedly next time they call themselves trying to point the dirty end of the stick at us. We're going to point out, well, gee, when Elon Musk had a bunch of folk in the White House saying Israel should be wiped off the face of the map, you guys were completely and thoroughly quiet. Where's Goldie Taylor at to tell people that white anti-Semitism isn't rare, it's ingrained? Where's she at? Where's she at to tell people that Elon Musk is malignant and dangerous? Why? Because there's millions of white males who idolize Elon Musk, see his success, richest man on the planet, and believes what he says. Why don't they push reporting that claims that white males are basically zombies under Elon's control? Because if a bipolar rapper and an NBA athlete are so influential with black males, then surely the richest man on the planet, who is now co-president of the United States, is infinitely more deserving of condemnation. And we have to be aware of the impact he's going to have on white males, especially young white males, because just look what he's done to poor Mark Elez. First, Elon is giving Nazi salutes at Trump's inauguration, and now this. But the blame black people first crowd are making excuses for Elon's Nazi salute. Why? They won't even call it a Nazi salute. They call it a gesture instead. Yeah, they got on code for that one, didn't they? They're so on code right now because it's so blatant now. All the lies about this isn't who we are as America. No, this is exactly what America is. See, you wouldn't be able to get this under a Kamala Harris presidency. She would be seeing all this garbage and giving us excuses, and she ain't going to do nothing. And Merrick Garland would not be doing anything either. And people wouldn't be seeing it and able to make excuses for it. Under a case like this, you can't make any excuses for this. They're a hell of a lot more reluctant. So this is a good thing happening. If you're going to have a freaking face peel, you can't exactly do that gently. The entire reason this scandal's broken wide open is not because Elon Musk himself is posting all this bigotry, even though he's done plenty of co-signing of racist remarks in the past, but because this young white male who worked for him did it, and that calls into question how much of an influence Elon Musk has had on him. See, nobody could accuse Kanye or Kyrie Irving of corrupting the morals of the youth, black, white, or otherwise. There was zero evidence that Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. And as for Kanye West, this guy is bipolar, and half the stuff that comes out of his mouth is unintelligible and the rest is unintelligent. Nuff said. Where is the evidence at that either of these two black men had caused so much as one young black male to be anti-Semitic or anything else for that matter? There was none. And yet the white media and its bootlick proxies were just pushing that boulder up the hill, trying to prove that they could conjure magic and make people believe things simply because they said it. So they just kept repeating that lie relentlessly until it eventually died a natural death. This is the purest evidence that all the phony outrage about Kanye and Kyrie was a pack of lies, crisis acting, and the people who did it know it. Because here you have an actual example of the very things that they falsely claimed about Kanye and Kyrie, only it's coming not from the NBA or from some rapper on a podcast, but it's coming from the White House, from people who make global policy. And yet all of those people who are clutching their pearls, and what about the black community? We need to have the black community admit to its bigotry. These people are quiet now. Yeah, and we're going to remember this and throw it in their faces from now till the end of time. They'll never be allowed to say anything about black people again without us throwing this cowardice on their part in their faces. Here you have actual hate speech, actual anti-Semitic speech. You have actual bigotry coming from the very top, from the White House no less. And one of the guys who's responsible for this stuff is the most powerful man on the planet, and the other one is Donald Trump. I wonder where Juju Chang is at now to talk about Stop Asian Hate. Because you got this stuff coming from the White House now. They're protecting individuals who are doing this mess. No pretend phony Asian hate. You got the real thing now, and Juju Chang's in hiding. And it's also important to note this because people like Ed Blum and Stephen Miller have been working nonstop to put these guys in positions of power. Keep in mind, Blum and Miller are both Jewish, and yet they've been ready to jump out a window to put anti-Semites in control of the government and to lie about black people full-time in order to do it. But they're not alone. As this DOGE tool said, Indians can be replaced by LLMs. That means large language models, in other words, AI, and that they're all going back. So when it comes to all of these mass deportations, it looks like some of the Trump insiders, if they had their way, there would be a hell of a lot more than just people being flown back to Colombia on the U.S. taxpayers' dime. As far as they're concerned, it's just the beginning. This should actually be a whole purge. And the individuals who thought to themselves, oh, we're going to go ahead and hang out with Ed Blum. We're going to co-sign all this anti-black stuff. These individuals are finding their own names on that list of undesirables. This matters because Ed Blum, after his attempts to lie and claim that white students were being discriminated against, he then switched to saying Asian students would be his stalking horse, even though there was not then, nor is there now, any evidence of discrimination against Asians or whites or anyone else not in academics, and certainly not in Silicon Valley. And yet we see white males who are saying they want all of these Asians who are outperforming them gone. Well, I wonder what Ed Blum would be saying about that. Surely Ed Blum will be bringing lawsuits and saying, we can't be discriminating against people. You should just be the best and the brightest. Yet not a word about merit or test scores or application standards or anything. Notice that? Whatever happened to, we freely admit that Asians score higher than white people on standardized testing. They were using Asians as a stalking horse to justify their white supremacist agenda. And now they don't need them anymore. And why did so many Asians go along with it? Not all, but enough. Well, we have to ask what happened with Peter Liang when we had literal Hands Across America support for him. They're not being denied admissions when it comes to schools, colleges, or universities. That's a lie. In fact, we proved right here on this channel, there's been a ton of stories about all kinds of admissions scandals where you had individuals buying their way into these schools. Black students don't do that. However, you have a lot of Asians who are overrepresented when it comes to tech sector jobs. So why are so many Asians willing to play along with Ed Blum's lies? Well, as a case study, if you look what happened in Africa, especially in places like Uganda and South Africa, there were those who wanted to solidify their place as honorary members of the oppressor class. In fact, in South Africa, Asians have been called honorary Aryans. White supremacy is a system of goodies, giveaways, but most importantly, guarantees. And there were a lot of people who wanted assurances, guarantees that they would finally be full-fledged members of the oppressor class, no honorary to it. To the people who played the part of extras in Ed Blum's racist judicial theater, they saw what they were doing as a political and to an extent even ethnic merger. That they would have a political merger with the white right around the shared value of hating black people, not because black people did anything to them, but simply because black people exist. This agenda of ethnic cleansing being called non-discriminatory is the height of Orwellian doublespeak. But then again, as Neely Fuller said, white supremacy believes in taking both sides of the conversation. You have the racist who have lied through their teeth, and they're claiming, well, we're doing it because we're not racist. Last year, when Harvard and other Ivy League schools were making their admissions, Ed Blum was fuming and whining. When is he not whining? He was whining that the numbers of black students hadn't gone down. See, that's what his brain, such as it is, made a beeline to. He wasn't concerned about the number of Asians who had gotten admitted. He was concerned about how many black students had been denied admission. He wanted to see that black people were being ethnically cleansed because that's what this entire racist operation was about. He was furious. He saw all the admissions data and, like the racist gerbil he is, he zeroed in on black students because that's why the wealthy white supremacists who have funded him all these decades put him out there, to attack black people with frivolous lawsuits. Keep in mind, this racist punk's anti-black jihad began in the 90s during the Clinton administration, and Democrats did absolutely nothing about it. When Obama was elected, Mitch McConnell and the Federalist Society declared that they had to capture the federal judiciary because it was now obvious their days of controlling who writes the laws were numbered. Now they had to try to buy themselves some more time by controlling who interprets the laws, which means they would legislate from the bench, all the while accusing their opponents of doing that. No matter how constitutional or legally valid something may be, they would simply declare that any law, any policy they didn't like was unconstitutional because they didn't like it. Obama and the Democrats controlled the Senate during his second term, but because Obama squandered the support he had, Democrats lost control of the Senate after the 2010 midterms, and Democrats were too busy worrying about not being antagonistic toward white conservatives. They didn't care that Mitch McConnell and the Federalist Society had become a hyper-aggressive campaign to ramrod as many Federalist Society stooges into the federal courts as possible. And this agenda of front-loading the courts with right-wing zealots would pay off a couple of years later when Ed Blum and his pals filed the Shelby v. Holder lawsuit, which struck down the pre-clearance provision of the Voting Rights Act. Now, the right-wing members of the Supreme Court knew that the law was legal and constitutional. The Voting Rights Act was absolute rock solid. They couldn't claim it was unconstitutional to be passed. They also knew they didn't actually have the legal right to strike it down either. As Antonin Scalia himself admitted, the politicians wouldn't do it because the public would punish them at the polls. So the right-wingers on the court, they had to strike down the pre-clearance provision of the Voting Rights Act because they said they felt that it was obsolete. Now, never before in human history have you had a law struck down because it was called too effective. Nobody would ever get rid of drunk driving laws because the number of DUIs hit zero. Nobody would ever get rid of the murder laws because the number of homicides hit zero. The only people who want to get rid of laws prohibiting murder are the people who intend to commit murders. The only people who want to get rid of laws regarding drunk driving are the people who want to go ahead and drive drunk as a skunk. And the only people who want to get rid of anti-discrimination laws are the people who think they're still in a position to discriminate, and they don't want anything to infringe on that. Remember, white power is all about being able to pick and choose who the winners are going to be. And if you allow for too much progress to go on too long, well, you lose that ability, which means you're not in charge. Nowhere did Scalia or any of his pals mention where the court had the authority or the justification for its ruling. This was what the Federalist Society had been aiming to do since they were started in the 1980s, legislate from the bench. Ed Blum's nuisance suits had been laughed out of the courts ever since the 90s, up until Obama and his cronies sat on their hands and allowed the GOP to take over the federal courts. And then Obama refused to demand that the ego-driven fool Ruth Bader Ginsburg resign from the Supreme Court, even after she'd been diagnosed with cancer. Ginsburg didn't want to resign because she was determined to be on the bench when a woman, Hillary Clinton, presumably would become president in 2016. Maybe she imagined that she would be the one to administer the oath of office to President-elect Clinton. She was good buddies with Scalia, by the way. You see, this is what putting feminists in positions of authority gets you. The only reason that these right-wing schemes, from Rick Snyder and his emergency manager takeover in Michigan, to Chris Rufo and his CRT hysteria in Florida, to Ed Blum and his nuisance suits even gets through is because the Democrats have literally put forward absolutely no opposition to it. They won't even talk about opposing it. They don't want to make it an issue, and one has to wonder why. Prior to Obama, Ed Blum had made mostly no headway in the courts. His lawsuits were a joke, and would still be a joke today, but for McConnell and company making it a point to target the courts for takeover. Now all of a sudden we saw judges who were pretending to dignify these illegal courtroom maneuvers. They did that in direct response to Obama having been elected. As soon as he got in there, they're like, okay, we got this biracial buffoon in here. We do not want this to become habit forming for the nation. We got to do something. We're losing everything. We're losing everything. Now, did Obama ever get angry at the Republicans for this? Of course not. That moron saved his vitriol for black protesters fighting police brutality, calling them thugs, and being the first public figure of any note to directly attack wokeness by name. That was Obama's response. That's who he attacked. And he's still attacking black people to the present. He has shown far more hostility toward black people than he ever has for the Republicans who have been on an anti-black jihad. Now, what does that tell you? And this also continued with Biden and Harris. At no point did any Democrat, especially not at the national level, be it Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris, Hakeem Jeffries, Pelosi, Schumer, any of them, ever say, all of this stuff the Republicans have been doing to attack voting rights, we're going to prop that stuff right back up. We got to get ourselves back in power so that we can undo the damage they've done and we can reestablish and reinforce all of these just laws that the Republicans have been attacking. Instead, the Democrats have done nothing about it. What does that tell you? What that lets you know is you're up against a controlled opposition who, as far as they're concerned, well, we need to go ahead and let this stuff go away because black people have been making too many demands. At no point did Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, any
We already did that one. Sorry, y'all. It goes off again. I'm going to end it now. Thank you for tapping in. Just about to drop off. Thank you for tapping in. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to all the platforms from Black News on YouTube and Facebook. Revolutionary Agenda on YouTube and Facebook, and Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced on Facebook and Twitter. So peace, love, light, reparations, and separations, and Black empowerment. Chain Crewman. Signing out. Make sure you join us tomorrow for Frontline Black News season 4, episode 49. Part 1 of the Frontline Black News. So we'll see y'all then. Peace to crew. Peace to Jay Millie, Cousin Jay Militant. Shout out to Mac 285. Shout out to Twin Pyramid. Shout out to Lady Tay. Keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And we got Kahari, the MD20. Anybody else speaking and not speaking. So peace, love, light, reparation, and separation, and Black empowerment. Chan Krummer signing out from the mile-high income and illegal migrant flooded city and a sundown town known as Aurora, Colorado. Peace, Black family.